Hey guys, it's Faye, and today I want to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which was announced in the more detailed Switch presentation that happened in January. More specifically, I'd like to talk about some things I noticed in the trailer, some rough translations I did from one particular part of the trailer, and what I think about the game so far. The trailer starts off with the main character, Rex, claiming he is going to Elysium for you, in which you is more than likely the redheaded girl in the trailer, also known as Homura. As usual, in any Xeno game, there are often references to religion and old mythology. Elysium is basically the concept of heaven in Greek mythology. Gods, heroes, and those chosen by the gods are sent here in the afterlife and can live out in paradise doing whatever they like to do during their lives. Interestingly enough, this place also goes by the name of the Elysian Fields. Fields fit perfectly into the Xenoblade Chronicles aesthetic, and they're once again featured prominently in the trailer. Elysium is said to be located near the Oceanus Stream on the western end of the Earth. It will be interesting to see if a location with a name similar to Oceanus, or the Greek pronunciation Okeanos, shows up. There's already the giant white whale-like creature at the end of the trailer, which would fit perfectly in an aquatic setting. Speaking of which, the main character, Rex, is sporting quite the stylish helm, which is very reminiscent of an old-fashioned diver's helmet. It's interesting to see this, as space could be referred to as a star ocean, just like a certain other JRPG series. There's also the possibility of a vast water area considering the giant white whale creature flying around. It's also interesting to note that if this is indeed a white whale, it shares the name with the ship from Xenoblade Chronicles X, the USS White Whale. Everything goes back to that sky whale. One of the first new characters presented is Nia, riding atop a white tiger-looking mount. I honestly hope that mounts are a thing in the game, and it'd be neat to even be able to tame unique monsters as mounts. I love Xenoblade Chronicles, but sometimes trekking across larger field areas for quests could be a pain. I'm looking at you, Gaur Plains! Still love your music though, baby! It's interesting that Nia has cat-like ears. I'm wondering if she's a new race, or if she is somehow related to Celica from X, who is a Chlorlian. However, their ears are much more elvish in nature, and I'm unsure if they will bring that sort of element from X into this game. Next up, skyships. It's neat to see more steampunk elements back in the game, for at least a part of it. I liked X a lot, but I'd missed the world of the first Xenoblade Chronicles game, which felt much more like a steampunk style of tech, at least for the earlier parts of the game. Homura makes her appearance next, and she says, "I love this world because you're in it." This kind of bugged me though, because she says Mina. It is not just referring to Rex, even though it gives that impression in the subtitled version. I'd like to think that she's addressing either the entire party or the party and some NPCs. This also makes me think that she may not be from this world originally or is newer to it. I can see this sort of scene being used to develop her character if that's the case. Also, notice the Zohar looking design on her chest. The game refers to it as a core, and is very important. Another interesting thing to note is that it looks a lot like the Zohar from the Xenosaga and Xenogears games, and is also similar to the life holds in X. I'll come back to this later since I have a lot to say about it, and I just want to cover everything else briefly before I get to it. The scene with Homura also gives a really nice close-up look of the character design in this game. I honestly like this more traditional anime style than the style found in X, but not as much as the original Xenoblade Chronicles character designs. Even though the graphics weren't the best as a Wii title, there's just something so warm in the palette and style of the characters, and I still miss how the characters looked more mature in that game. Next up, the OST. The first name I noticed was Yasunori Mitsuda, a name you might recognize from games such as Chrono Cross and Xenogears. The music pages seem to show that the theme playing in the trailer is Elysium of the Blue Sky, main theme, part 2. If this is any indication of the music's quality in the game, I'm very excited to hear the rest of the tracks. The original trio also returns from the Xenoblade Chronicles OST, which is good news. I like the music in X well enough, but I definitely preferred the first game's soundtrack overall. Woo! The Nopon are back again! The area the trailer shows off definitely shares similar environmental design with Frontier Village from the first game. I can only hope that a Nopon actually joins the party and can fight like Ricky did in the first game. We definitely need another playable Heropon. Going back to the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a very mechanical town is shown off, and if you look really closely you can see a group of Nopon in the distance. This isn't that surprising since they do like to travel and have been established as traveling merchants in both the first Xenoblade Chronicles game and X. It seems that the game will once again have theming related to technology and nature, and it will be interesting to see how that plays out. At the end of the trailer, we get a great close-up of the new Minato-looking sword, as well as the giant whale-like creature in the distance. The Minato displayed here looks like a fusion of the Minato 2 and Mainnet's Minato from the first game, with each side of the blade being asymmetrical. This is more than likely just a design choice rather than a symbolic connection, but it's still neat to see the new maybe Minato's design. When we see the blade in action earlier in the trailer, it has the same green-colored ether-like energy as the Zohar being emitted from it as well. Related to that, there's currently a theory going around that Homura is Rex's new Minato-looking sword, since she has a Zohar core, and her outfit has a similar color palette to the sword. If that's the case, I have to wonder about the blonde-haired girl, Hikari, who also shows up in the trailer. Both Hikari and Homura have similar outfits, complete with matching Zohar cores, earrings, and hair accessories. If Homura is the Minato-looking sword, does that mean Hikari is another piece of gear? Speaking of Hikari, her lines in the trailer stood out to me. She says, "I've made my decision and I won't live in fear anymore." I have to wonder if there is a bias against people like Homura and Hikari for having Zohar cores, or if she has a partner she wants to fight alongside, like Homura does with Rex. Perhaps Nia is her partner? It's too early to say. Now, I said the word partner, but that isn't quite right, which leads me to the next thing I did, and that's translating the visible parts of the scripts from the executive director part of the trailer. It was made even more tough by the fact that a lot of the sentences get cut off because of the way the pages were laid out, but there's some neat information there. If you want to avoid any type of spoilers, there are some mild ones here. I'll put a timestamp in the description below if you don't want to be spoiled, so be warned. Quick note, my translation skills are not the best, and secondly, it was made even harder by the fact that there are cut off parts of each scene. If something sounds really odd, it's more than likely the fact we were given a ton of sentence fragments. There's 3 very different scenarios on this screen, so let's get right into it. The first scenario involves Rex, and judging by what parts of the name I could see, a return of Vandam. Maybe he has become a Sid-like recurring character for Xenoblade Chronicles. This scenario has Vandam describing the Zohar cores and the relationship between a blade and a driver to Rex. In this context, the blade is Homura and the driver is Rex. I imagine this is what is leading most people to the Homura is the new Minato sword theory, since she is literally referred to as a blade, and the Minato-like sword has the same core found on Homura's chest. It will be interesting to see if this is the case. The important point is that the blade, Homura, will bear injuries, but they can recover from that quickly. However, if they can't recover, meaning the core was destroyed, or if the driver, aka Rex, dies, they will both fall. It's a really interesting conversation that gives some insight into something very important in the game's story. The second scenario involves what is more than likely a fan service scene, probably involving a bathhouse or hot springs of some kind. Hikari, Homura, and Nia all appear in this scene, and Nia is quick to point out that Hikari has a hot bod. I can't see who's talking near the end, but the female characters seem quite familiar with each other as one addresses Hikari as Hikarichi. Adding that type of suffix to a name is very common among friends, namely teenage girls. The third scenario goes back to the more serious tone found in the first scenario. There is some sort of battle involving ships in this segment, and a few more character names are revealed. The player characters and the other NPCs are focusing on taking down an ancient ship, or at least gaining access to it from what I could read. In the process of doing this, a character named Shin is hit, and things seem to go downhill from there. There's also a character named Metsu, who seems to be the coordinator of the operation. Judging by the airships from earlier in the game, this could be taking place either in the sky or in space. Most of the Xeno games tend to end up relevant to outer space at some point or another, but there haven't been any indications of that sort of travel yet. One last translation note are the meanings of the female character names. Homura means flame, Hikari means light, and Nia has a name meaning that can either be purpose or intention. This doesn't reveal too much, but it's a neat little tidbit. Overall, I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 looks extremely promising, and I can't wait to play it. While I enjoyed my time with Xenoblade Chronicles X, I'm excited to get back to a world more reminiscent of the original Xenoblade Chronicles. Monolith Soft is aiming for a 2017 Japanese release, so hopefully we'll see the game by the end of 2017. What did you guys think about the trailer? Are you looking forward to Xenoblade Chronicles 2? Have you played any other games in the series yet? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching.